All right, up today is a Sansui G5500. So it's been Sansui season around here lately. I've got, in the garage right now, I've got an 8000, a 7500, and this 5500 that I'm getting ready to take to the shop. Let me back my camera up just a little bit here, get the whole receiver in view. So the Sansui G5500, manufactured between 1978 and 1980. However, and I'm going to preface everything I'm going to say in this video with as far as I can tell, because there's a whole lot of variation in some of the product brochures and catalogs I have pulled down. There's not a lot of probably really solid information out there, so this is going to be best effort, right? Best effort guessing. Direct coupled, 60 watts per channel. Typical Sansui G series. Right, when I look at these, I just see the late 70s, early 80s. Very shiny. Cabinets are kind of plasticky. Not really impressed with the vinyl wrap or the quality of the cabinets. I think I've mentioned that in the G8000 video. Sounds like a Sansui, but I will say that these are a little more on the, I don't know, on the thin side. I'm not real impressed with the sound balance, but again, that's this particular example of a G5500 from the G series from Sansui. Hookups are easy on this. Functions can be a little bit tricky though. We have power, speakers A and B, and you can have both sets on if you want. Tone control on or off, subsonic filter, audio muting, loudness contour, FM muting, stereo mono mode, tape monitor 1 and 2, bass treble, volume, balance tuning, selector, and mic level. Pretty basic, not too tricky, I suppose. Looking at how those are laid out, they're laid out fairly intuitively. Serviceability on these, I would say probably intermediate. Based on my experience and the research for the video, I could not find any common issues unique to the Sansui G5500 series. I will say though that I saw quite a few posts on Audio Karma regarding protection circuit issues. But as I went through those threads, I could not find common issues. So I don't know if protection issues are common in these or not, but I could not find any like, hey, you need to go in and replace this, Zener diode or something like that. So I couldn't find much about any common issues. I would say the common issues with this will be issues that are shared by any receiver of this vintage. Something going on 40 years old, more older than 40 years old. Aging caps, transistors, solder joints, right? Cracks in solder joints over the years. So nothing unique that I could find to the G5500. Things to look for if you're considering picking one of these up. I think I mentioned in the G8000 video that, so a couple of them came into the shop and they were missing, I want to say they were both missing, or I had two of them that were missing tuning. In fact, this may have been one of them, I don't know. I didn't see my sticker on this one, but one was missing a tuning cap, so it took me a while to go out and find one of those. So, as it is with anything, completeness is going to be a big thing on this. I don't know what it is about the tuning knobs on this, why I had two of them in a row that kind of, that were missing those. So I don't know. The pot wasn't damaged or the tuning dial wasn't damaged, but, sorry, I'm messing with that. See if I can get the stereo station back. And again, you know, tuner on this is pretty good. If I'm picking up stereo in my basement without an antenna, that's pretty decent. But anyway, cosmetic completeness, condition of the cabinet. These cabinets are horrible. I think they're cheap. They're thin. I have zero confidence in them. They don't. The wrap doesn't even look like it's a veneer. It doesn't give you the appearance of real wood. It gives you the appearance of like plastic. So I'm not at all impressed with the quality of the cabinets on these. So the condition of the cabinet, completeness, make sure this glass isn't cracked. This is beveled, right? So if you have a cracked piece of glass here, it's not a simple drop-in. You may have to find an entire new faceplate for it. I know it took me a while to find a tuning cap that was affordable. People were asking crazy prices for those. I would suspect that the other knobs, just kind of depends on what's out on eBay at the time. You may be able to find them, but again, I had to wait a while to find that tuning cap. It was like 3 or 4 months because I passed over some that were just insanely priced. As far as these little button caps go, I don't know how those are made. I don't think those pull out, so you may have to, if one of these is missing, you may have to end up buying a complete assembly, not just a button cover for it. So again, make sure it's complete. I would say make sure you know, pay attention to the operating status of it. Does it come out of protection? Do they have pictures where the lights are illuminated, where you can see if the meters are working, those types of things. But all of those are just common to really any receiver, any amplifier, any turntable for that matter. Like show me what is capable of video or something like that. So again, with this one, it's cosmetic completeness. Making sure that the meters and the lamps for the meters are good. And then naturally any service history, and then clarification of what that means. So if someone says that this was serviced, what does that mean, right? Since as far as I know, there are no commonly failing components like bad transistors, right? That wouldn't be something that I would look for in the service description. But, you know, was it recapped? Was there a repair done to it? You know, is there evidence that someone's been in there before? Because that can always be kind of tricky to navigate if someone's been in there before. So I think, you know, going over all that, this is just kind of a typical receiver stuff. Pricing on one of these, so these have kind of a narrow window. What I found when I was doing my research for this today. So what I found was restored, recapped, in the box. You know, just walked out of like 1979. I have found these listed out there for more than $500. So $600, $550, $500 plus. Now this one is in actually really clean condition, so this will go out for more than $500. So I would say, you know, I wouldn't be shocked to see one of these sell for $600, and to see that the pricing window kind of open up on this. There weren't many sales. The 5500, I don't know how many of these they made. Oh, and you know what? I completely glanced over the series information on this. So let me explain to you the series. So within the G series and the few product catalogs or brochures that I could find, there were a ton of individual models, and they were sold seemingly at the same time. So in my mind, I would think that they would sell the X00 series separate from the X500 series. So if you could have a 5000, you could have a 5500, you could have a 7000, you could have a 7500. So what I was operating under the assumption of was that the 1000 or the 1000 series were sold in, you know, a couple of different years, and then they moved to the 5500 series. But I found different brochures and catalogs where they're selling both the 500 series and the 1000 series side by side, which is kind of crazy because even amongst the catalogs that I looked at, they were selling different models. So the 5500 appeared in one, but it didn't appear in the other one. But the 7500 appeared in both. So it was kind of weird. So the series information they sold, I kind of have it in 4 tiers. They had the unicorn tier, which, you know, they were the top of the line. But we're talking the Sansui G33,000 and 22,000. And I hate to put it to you this way, but like normal people don't buy those. Like it's kind of like a Pioneer 1980. Yes, it was top of the line, but for a very, very, very small group of people, right? More people could afford a 1280 than a 1980. Same thing with Sansui. More people can afford, right, a G9000 or a 9090 or an 8000. So I really consider, you know, the unicorn tier, that's nice. Sure, the 22,000, 33,000 were, you know, technically top of the line, but for a normal consumer, typical consumer, the top of the line tier would have been the 9090 DB, the G9000 and the G8000, and possibly the 9090, depending upon when you were looking at picking one of these up. Again, the 2 product catalogs I had, one had the 9090 and 9090 DB listed, the other one did not. And I can't remember if that was 1978 or 1979. If I remember, I'll post it when I'm editing the video. So then you have the mid tier, and I'm considering the 7500, 7000, 6000, 5500, and 5000 all in that middle tier. The 7500s, though, if you look at the pricing on those, they may actually be more of a top tier, and I could, you know, very easily say that it's in that top tier. I'm going kind of by styling because there are some stylistic, aesthetic similarities between, well, that the 7500 has more in common with when you're looking at a 6000 than an 8000. So again, and this is just my kind of tiering, so take it for what it's worth. And then you had the entry level, you had the 3000 and the 2000. So I can't believe I skipped right over the product line information. But going back to pricing. So picking up one of these has been recapped, really clean. $600, $550, somewhere north of $500. One that's a user, one that may not be in the best cosmetic condition. Maybe the cabinet is damaged. And there's a vent that runs across the back of this. And for some reason, I've seen these cracked before. I don't know if people put something heavy on those, drop it, something like that. But I've seen them cracked on more than one. And it's not something that's easily repairable. So let's say you get one of these. Maybe, you know, you got to sort something out. Maybe there's a knob missing or a cap missing, something like that. You're looking at around $400. And then the parts units on these, less than 300. So again, it's a really, really tight window on this. You're looking at, to go from a repair unit to a user unit to a pristine unit, 300, 400, 500, and maybe it's more like 600 on the top end. You know, might be a little bit more expensive. You know, prices on these are going up a little bit. I think we've seen the kind of the crest of the COVID pricing craziness. I think these are starting to come down a little bit as people are, you know, they're no longer cooped up in their homes, and they, you know, the novelty has worn off, and all of that kind of thing. Good receivers. You know, I'm not a fan of this aesthetic. The silver and the Sansui for this series, I'm not a big fan of. They're not bad. They're just not. It's just not my thing, right? I don't think it's gaudy looking or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I don't see this and I say, man, that's a gorgeous receiver. I'm just like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of gaudy. But that's just me. So I think that'll wrap it up for the gear review on the Sansui G5500. As always, if you like what you see, like it, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.